Welcome to Brandon Hall Group's Excellence at Work podcast. You will hear from industry leaders covering innovative, cutting-edge business, learning, and HR topics that weave current market research and technology into each episode. Our Excellence at Work podcast is hosted by Brandon Hall Group's Chief Operating Officer and Principal HCM Analyst, Rachel Cook.
I'm Rachel Cook, the CEO of Brandon Hall Group and the host of our Excellence at Work podcast. Welcome to our episode today, and I'm looking forward to chatting with Tommy Richardson, the Chief Product and Technology Officer from Litmos. Hi, Tommy. How are you?
Hey, Rachel. How are you doing? I'm doing well.
Great. And today we're going to be talking about the value of combining content and tech through one provider, advantages of that partnership, and considerations of what to think about, and also understanding kind of your environment and how to match the needs of your environment to the right partner. Also wanted to congratulate Litmos for receiving 10 Brandon Hall Group Excellence Awards in 2023. Congratulations.
Thank you. It's definitely a great honor that we're proud of. A lot of great customers, a lot of great work from our employees that went into that, and we definitely appreciate the recognition for all of that.
And it's always exciting to hear from your team and the passion that you have and the clients that you work with. We are honored for you or for Litmos to being our diamond sponsor at our HCM Excellence Conference coming up on February 12th through the 15th. And we'll be hearing more from your team, Dr. Jill and Kylie Stair, the Chief People Officer, as they are going to be talking about L&D or establishing L&D as a strategic investment to maximize your ROI. So we welcome everyone to join us in their session. And also, Tommy, hope to see you there. And why don't we get started a little bit about if you could share with us a little bit about your background and how did you get started in the L&D space?
Sure. I appreciate the opportunity to talk about it. I started my career in technology way back in the mainframe era. I started as a QA tester, and very, very quickly sort of moved up through the ranks, to what we called back then programmer, to engineer, to manager. And this is right around the .com era that some of us remember well, and actually started a company back then, which was an ed tech company. And we focused more on K-12, but there's certainly a lot of similarities between kind of teaching and learning, for children as there are for adults. And that was sort of my first, array in the ed tech area. Spent a career also in HR and payroll. Worked at companies such as ADP and Ceridian. And then a little bit later in life, got involved in more content, ed tech driven businesses. I worked at a company called Vector, which really focuses on blue collar training. So manufacturing training teachers, training firefighters, not just training, but certifications, that those folks need. And then also worked at a company called Barbary. I was president there, and training future attorneys and existing attorneys. And, luckily the Litmos opportunity opened up and really jumped at it. To me, there's a lot of things you can do with your life. To stay busy, to work, you could say. And I think, learning is definitely a very high calling in life. You're changing people's lives. You're helping teach people new skills. And, you look at me, I started as a QA tester, back in the early 90s, and my career is much different now. That was due to a lot of learning, a lot of teaching, I went back and got my grad degree while I was working. I did executive program at Wharton. A lot of training went into that, development in my career. And I just think it's an awesome thing to do to help people and watch companies excel. And, when companies excel and they're doing well, they typically hire more people, and that's good for people. And then you see the personal journey, as I mentioned mine, that people, get in when it comes to adult learning. So I think it's a great spot to be. Super thrilled to be here with Litmos.
Fantastic. And what, for a learning professional, what kind of user experience do they need to have to be successful?
Oh, I love talking about this one. I think generally a lot of the learning systems feel like business systems. When you think of business system, you think, no offense to my friends who work in business systems, but financial systems, ERP, NetSuite, Oracle, SAP. And, I think there is an element to that because like you have compliance training, it needs to get assigned, it needs to get taken, it kind of has to get done, just like processing your financials or, putting a quote in Salesforce. But I think the challenge for us in this industry and something that we're actively, working on is how do you make it feel more like a consumer experience? I like to talk about a lot of this on my LinkedIn, post myself. And, you look at all the time people spend, on YouTube and Instagram and TikTok. And you can learn things on TikTok, according to my children, by the way, but definitely not a corporate learning platform. But how can we learn from some things that those platforms do really, really well and bring that to kind of the corporate world and sort of transform these learning systems, which kind of, business systems, into being more consumer friendly. And I think that goes a very long way to getting employees really pulled into the platform. So having a good UI, a good experience, making it feel like these other apps when they log in. I think the other thing is, once you kind of have that experience really, really well, the other thing gets into, well, do you have the content? The reason why people watch TikTok and they spend a lot of time on YouTube is just so much content, and it's entertaining, so do you have the right content? Is the content that you have that may be on some business topic that may be a little boring, have you built a little flavor in there where it's not just this old boring, hour-long course that you have to watch. It's something that's entertaining. You're learning, but in some ways it's, it's kind of engaging you in that experience. And so at Litmos, we've always sort of been known as the easy use folks. And with our platform, that's certainly something that we do today. But some things that we released and later in the year in 2023 and some things that we're going to be releasing in 2024, I think are going to go a long way sort of delivering on that vision that I talked about.
And is it possible for a company to have one provider that offers content and technology or the technology platform?
I mean, Litmos as an example, we are a software provider. So we provide the learning platform and we also develop content. And our vision with our content is it is something that really any company can use. And so it's not like we've gone really deep. I mentioned when I worked at, Vector, we did training for firefighters. That's a very deep niche. You got to be a firefighter for that training, to work. We've really focused on things that everybody needs. So you think about compliance training, privacy training, security training, manager training, soft skills, because those are things that generally every company, should have and should be taking. But I think getting all of that content from one provider that you're ever going to need probably is never going to be true. Certainly when you go with Litmos, you get all of that sort of soft skills and compliance and security privacy training that we talked about. But that's not going to include your product training, right? If you're a product company and you have a new version of that product going out, you want to do some internal enablement on that. So you may build a course teaching the salespeople, how to take that product and talk to their prospects about it. How do you sell it? How do you compete against the competitors with it? And so I think there's always going to be an element where customers are going to build their own content internally as well. And by the way, we've gone a long ways at Litmos on supporting that by having our embedded content authoring tool in our product. And kind of our goal, we like to say, is content for everyone. And so how do we have content that really everybody can use that helps broadly? How do we have a content authoring tool that's included that makes it really easy to build content? Certainly instructional designers can use it, but also built where a business user can use it. If you're a customer support manager, you could build a course, for your team. If you're a sales leader, you can build a course for your team. And then the other thing at Litmos that we've been focused on is just adding partners, because we also realize outside of our content, there's still going to be some times, some areas where you might want to go get that content. But our goal is you get it all from one area. We've curated these partners. We've picked them. They're integrated, so you don't have to kind of export a course and import a course. It's a lot easier to use when you kind of get it all from our systems.
Kind of like going to a food court. You have a menu of options.
Lots of options.
You just go to one place.
Right. Or like our phones, your app store. Years and years ago, if you wanted to download an app, to your BlackBerry, before Apple and Android kind of came around, you'd go into the website and you download it and you import it in. And that can be scary from a security standpoint, but it also can be scary from a quality standpoint. The advantage now that Apple's kind of done with the phones is like you have a high quality of service of apps that are in there. You kind of know what you're getting. You get reviews. You can tell, how good those apps are. It's easy to install on your phone. You don't have to go download and upload. And so it's a very similar experience that, we're providing at Litmos for our customers' content as well.
And how is AI affecting you, or what's your, what is your, how are you approaching AI?
We're very excited about AI. I like to say AI is sort of our generation's gift. And I think it's particularly a gift to content ed tech companies. When you think about it, the thing that's really taken off in the past year and a half with AI has been around forever. Well, not forever, but for a really long time. And what's really taken off with these large language models is the ability to understand and, human meaning in statements, and then to also be able to generate content. And when you think about kind of the element of learning, those are two important aspects. And if you think about kind of how most learning platforms work today, if you're a learner and you want to go discover content, you're probably going to go to some search. And even if you have kind of a 2024 version of search, which we have at Litmos, that does all sort of fuzzy matching and all of that, you're still kind of typing in keywords. Just like if you use Google, we all use Google, and you have to get that keyword search kind of right. And I think that's really where AI is going to provide a big value, because now you can sort of, have a conversation with the learner. What are you looking for? What are you wanting to learn? And the ability to match that up with content is going to have a much higher fidelity than sort of the old school search approach. And then also, I think the other thing that's really interesting about AI is our industry has been producing, these courses. We have a standard SCORM, as an example, that most people, um, use. But the advantage of SCORM is you can give someone a course and you can make sure, you have a quality of that course, and they can take the course and you can measure whether they completed it or not. But the problem in some of these courses is, well, what happens 6 months down the road where, a person has issues recalling all the information in that course. And I think that's where AI also comes in, really handy as well, because, with AI, now all of that information that's in those courses is now available to inquiry, where if you forgot something, you don't have to go back and take that course all over again. You could just ask it a question. And I think that's definitely valuable for office workers, frontline workers. But, I think it becomes particularly powerful. Like if you just think about a simple example of a repairman or repair person, out doing a local repair on something they haven't repaired in a while. And there's a course they could take it, but like they're just looking for a piece of information. Imagine if you could just ask that question and get it answered from information that's sort of stored in these SCORM courses. And so I think there's a lot of opportunity there in our industry around AI. That's just one. And another one is, generating assessments. One technique to make sure when people take a course that they understood the course and they paid attention is to ask them a few questions, put them through a little quiz. People spend a lot of time thinking up these quizzes, generating these quizzes. These are all things that these new, AI large language models do a very good job of doing.
What we see, what's happening with the use of generative AI is exciting. We are all, whether you're in learning or any part of a business in your personal life, we're using AI in some way. It's just going to continue to evolve. And the ability to produce content is exciting. We can create it faster, easier. You don't have to necessarily have designer skills or instructional designer skills. But how do we ensure, what are some of the best practices that we need to think about to ensure that we're able to generate the right kind of content and in a way that's easy to access and to deliver?
That's a great question. It's one we spend a lot of time thinking about and working on. One of the uniquenesses of Litmos is, again, we not only produce the software and the learning platform, but we produce the content. And, we've got lots of folks around the world who build these courses that we have. And so we're very interested in how AI can help us generate some of these courses. Like if you just, this is an example, but let's say if your average course takes, 20 days to build, and with AI helping, build those courses, can you get more done in a less amount of time? So let's say instead of 20 days, it's 10 days with the same level or better quality. I think that's very powerful when you think about, a company like Litmos who produces content, but it's definitely even powerful for companies, like some of our companies who may use our, content authoring tool to build courses. Most companies we talk to, they're always like, we need more people in L&D. I very rarely talk to a customer who says, oh, we have, we don't need any help. We can build all the courses we need. That's typically not the story out there. And so I think AI in the generative world will go a long way into helping produce content and ideally even better content when you think about AI's ability to check for plagiarism, to check for facts, all these things that take a really long time to do and get done very accurately, when people are doing them. It should definitely help with that. And again, I think that's sort of the unique thing with Litmos. The analogy I like to tell people is we're kind of like Amazon. Amazon fundamentally is a shopping application, but as we know, now you've got Amazon services, and they do all these cloud services, and they do shipping, and they do fulfillment, and all those things sort of came out of Amazon innovating internally, right? Their fulfillment systems are for them working on their fulfillment systems to make sure they can ship their products quicker. The cloud systems came upon, well, how can we have a better, e-commerce app? And so as we work on these things with our content authoring and embed some of these AI capabilities in our tool, we're sort of eating our own dog food. That's going to improve the overall application when you think about how that content is sort of consumed, and change kind of how it's taught. In most cases where content is sort of produced separately from the app, what really is delivered is this SCORM file, this content package. And for us, we think there's a lot more to learning than just that content package, even if it is AI, built. You think about, is that content package in a learning path? Should there be some things that you want to include besides that SCORM file? Maybe a handout. Should you do an ILT lecture? What skills do you pick up when you take those courses? And so for us, leveraging AI and kind of building this content, that allows us to kind of have all of that when customers buy that content from us, have all of that delivered in the system. So you're not just getting a SCORM file like, well, what do I do with this? You have like the theory behind the learning, delivered within the application, and have the application kind of set up. So you don't have to go in and add it to skills. The AI can, look at the course that you built and recommend a skill for it. Badges set up. Same thing. Should you earn a badge for this? Should you earn a certificate for this? I think a lot of opportunity there, where AI can really help, sort of combine content and the system together. And I think for companies that aren't really doing both, it's kind of tough for them to see that. You're not really building the courses, and you're not seeing that some of the challenges, that customers are going through. You're not hearing their questions. Well, Tommy, how should I teach this course? What skills should I earn with this course? The advantage for us is like we kind of do all of that. And again, when you put AI on top, it no longer does it have to be manual. The system can start to recommend, how to set up the system from the courses you're building.
Sure. And what are you going to, my last question to you for today, what are your priorities for 2024?
For us, a lot of things that I've already sort of talked about, really focus on the experience and make it feel more like a consumer app, make it engaging to the learners, make it easy to find content. Some of our customers have tens of thousands of courses in their library. Like, search is not the way. Like, go try to find what you're looking for on Google. That's what they struggle with. So how do we really surface that up in very creative ways? Recommendations, people like me, other courses, folks in my role are taking. A lot of that is a big thing that we're focused on. AI. You've heard me talk about AI, and I think AI is something that's going to be used across the platform, from being able to tap into all those courses that are there where you can ask questions about it. You don't have to go back and retake the course, or, I've got a stack of books over here from some courses I've taken over the years, and I have to open up that book and I'm flipping through the book and trying to find the pages, that I bookmarked. I could just, it was online and it was in our system, I could just ask it a question.
Right.
And really tapping into that, and then helping kind of preload. And we do this today. So, I talked about skills, and I talked about when a course should have a badge, or, or what topics a course should be under, what learning path. Like, we pre-deliver all of that metadata when you get our content from our system. But how can AI kind of help generate that? Because as I sort of talked about before, companies are going to build their own content. They might go get a SCORM file from someone else, but how do you get that same ability to embed that course into your learning theory and into all that metadata? And again, people do that today all manually. They're going in and they're assigning skills to courses and they're assigning badges to courses, and it's just a ton of effort for admins and content creators to do that. So when you look at AI, the thing most people talk about with AI is it can help create the course. And I'm like, yeah, but there's a lot more than just creating that course. Again, back to the skills and the badges, and the certificates. What other courses should you put together in a learning path with this course to teach the subject matter? And so I think there's a lot of things that AI is going to help with on that journey, and that's going to be a big topic for us in 2024 on our product roadmap.
Fantastic. Well, thank you, Tommy. Thank you for joining me today. And I look forward to hopefully seeing you next month at our HCM Excellence Conference, February 12th through the 15th here in Palm Beach, Florida. It should be a great time of the year. And we look forward to learning more about the user experience and solution examples that are innovative and client-driven. So until then, have a great rest of January. And thank you, Tommy. Thank you all for listening in.